A missile streaks over the Red Sea. A Saudi oil tanker is burning near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. It looks like a random act of terror. It isn't. It's the newest shot fired in a war that started 1,400 years ago, over who was allowed to lead a religion after its founder died. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why a 7th century argument about succession is still deciding who lives and dies in the Middle East today. In 632 AD, the Prophet Muhammad died without clearly naming a successor. That single gap in the plan split Islam in two, permanently. One group, who'd become the Sunnis, said leadership should go to whoever the community chose. They backed a companion named Abu Bakr. The other group, the Shia, said leadership was a birthright. It had to stay in Muhammad's bloodline, starting with his son-in-law Ali. Ali did eventually become caliph. But the argument didn't die with him. It followed his son. In 680 AD, that son, Hussein, was killed at the Battle of Karbala, and that single event did something no theological debate ever could. It turned a political dispute into a permanent identity. Shia Islam, as we know it today, was forged in that moment. But here's the part most people miss. What came next wasn't centuries of prayer and peace. It was empire-scale warfare, again and again, for over 1,000 years. Here's the twist. Most of these wars were dressed up in religious language. But underneath, they were about the same three things every war is about: power, land, and money. 750 AD, the Abbasid Revolution. Shia factions helped the Abbasids overthrow the Sunni Umayyads. The reward for their help? Betrayal. The Abbasids took power for themselves and crushed the Shia uprisings that followed. 10th to 12th centuries, the Fatimid Abbasid rivalry. A Shia caliphate in Egypt fought a centuries-long war against Sunni powers for control of the most valuable real estate in the Islamic world, the Levant and the Holy Cities. 1514, the Battle of Chaldiran. The Sunni Ottomans crushed the new Shia Safavid Empire, stopping Shia power from spreading west, a battle whose consequences you can still see on a map today. And that map didn't get drawn in a peace conference. It got drawn in blood over 150 years in a place you've definitely heard of, Iraq. For over a century, the Ottomans and the Safavids fought over Iraq, because Iraq held the two holiest cities in Shia Islam, Najaf and Karbala. Baghdad changed hands more times than either empire could count. It only ended in 1639, with the Treaty of Zuhab, a line on a map that put Iraq under Sunni control and Iran under Shia control. That line is still the sectarian border of the Middle East today. Modern geopolitics, sanctions, wars, alliances are still running on 17th century infrastructure. But the violence wasn't over. It just changed shape. 1722. Sunni Afghan tribesmen invaded Iran and captured the Safavid capital itself. But the violence wasn't over. It just changed shape. 1722. Sunni Afghan tribesmen invaded Iran and captured the Safavid capital itself. That single event is still cited today as a founding grievance by Shia movements across the region. Fast forward to 1979. The Iranian Revolution installs a hardline Shia theocracy, one openly determined to export its model across the region. To Saudi Arabia, the region's dominant Sunni power, this looks like an existential threat. So what happens next? Direct war between Iran and Saudi Arabia? No. Something more dangerous because it's harder to see coming. Proxy war. Yemen, Syria, Lebanon. In every one of these countries, local factions get funded, armed, and trained. Some by Riyadh, some by Tehran. The 7th century argument about succession becomes the excuse. The real fight is over who controls the region. That's why a tanker burns near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait today. The Houthis, a Shia group backed by Iran, struck it in retaliation for a Yemeni airstrike. The internationally recognized Yemeni government is backed by Saudi Arabia. Same fault line, new weapons. This is where it gets genuinely uncertain. So I want to be clear, this next part is analysis and speculation about where tensions could escalate, not a prediction of what will happen. Saudi Arabia doesn't just have proxies outside Iran's borders. Iran has vulnerable minority populations inside its own borders that a rival power could try to exploit. The Huwala Arabs, a Sunni population along Iran's Persian Gulf coast, sitting on some of the richest oil and natural gas reserves in the country. Iran's Kurdish and Baloch populations, both Sunni majority, both with long histories of wanting independence. If outside support ever flowed to separatist movements among these groups, it wouldn't just destabilize Iran, it would terrify Iran's neighbors too, since Turkey and Pakistan have their own Kurdish and Baluch populations watching closely. A conflict that simmered for 1,400 years doesn't need a new cause. It just needs the right spark. So here's the question worth sitting with. Is the Middle East fighting today's wars, or is it still fighting the same war it started in 632 AD, just with better weapons? If this kind of deep dive history is your thing, subscribe, because next week I'm breaking down next topic, and you will not want to miss it. See you in the next one.